Hi, everyone. Looking forward to speaking to Claire Roberts today. As you know, my name is Zahra Shah. I'm the chair of UKAI Women and AI Working Group. And I have Claire Roberts here with me, who is also a member of UKAI Women and AI Working Group. Thank you for joining us, Claire.
Hi, Zahra.
Please introduce yourself to our viewers.
So my name's Claire Roberts, and I'm a brand new female founder of a new AI training and consultancy company. And I've been working in tech for about 25 years now.
Amazing. Would you share your career journey, especially sort of what really sparked your interest, what inspired you towards your career path?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I've been in and around tech for all of my career, 25, nearly 30 years of it. That belies my age a little bit. I started out running projects and programs. I've run everything from M&A to the big SAP ERP transformations. I think I've covered pretty much every part of IT now, digital, cloud. And I always say I have outsourced and insourced the service desk from every corner of the globe now. And as I started to get more and more senior in that kind of delivery management type environment, I started to get more involved with designing how we should be delivering work. So I got involved in implementing things like Agile and Scrum, did the DevOps transformation piece, and then moved more into strategic portfolio and sort of big change management. So really looking across everything that we were doing in the company and saying, how does this all come together? And I often used to describe change programs as like scaffolding. You can put one bit of scaffolding up on a building and that's fine. But if you try and run too much change at the same time, you put so much scaffolding up that actually you stop being able to see the building anymore. So I used to say that my job was to minimize the scaffolding, but to just help make sure that we're always doing the right work at the right time and in the right way. And I guess I ended up carving my own title as the Senior Director of Transformation and Value. And I often say, if you want a new title, the best thing you can do is spend 6 months just calling yourself that title, and eventually everybody will catch on when you manage to get it. That was exactly what I did. I started talking about value all the time, always trying to position myself as a voice between the technology function that I was in and the wider business. So I was in a big engineering business at that point. And that kind of worked. It worked because it helped keep me in a job at a time when the company was moving at pace, lots of reorgs all the time. I was very lucky that my function continued to grow and grow. I think because I always positioned myself and my team as the custodians of value. So I always positioned us as being the people that made sure that all the work happening in the tech team was providing the business with sort of the biggest bang for its buck. And that seemed to work really well. It was a huge roller coaster of a ride working for Arm, so big engineering tech company. The portfolio literally had thousands of items in it, and the pace of change was phenomenal. We went through a major IPO, as many people will know, and everything got refocused into AI in the last sort of 4 years. And I guess kind of as I got more senior, I kind of realized quite quickly that this huge delivery team that I'd created that I was really proud of, I didn't actually really have a role to play in delivery anymore. Because I think when you're managing a portfolio of 30 projects and you've got 10 people, then you can know everything. And I used to know everything that was happening in every single one of my projects. And then the 30 projects becomes 60, and then 300, and then 600. And you start to become so disconnected from the detail, and you have to really rethink what your role is in that kind of a function. And I realized quite quickly that actually my role wasn't the delivery anymore. My role was just the people. And I think once I cottoned onto that and realized that the people wasn't something I was doing on the side of the delivery, the people was the whole job. It was the entire job, sort of the people and the culture. Then I became really comfortable in kind of thinking, okay, my job here isn't for me to be successful, and it isn't even really for kind of my 7 directors that worked for me to be successful. My job is for the hundreds of people in the function to all be successful. Like, how do I create an environment where everybody's successful? I became kind of a little bit obsessed with team dynamics and things like psychological safety. I just genuinely loved learning about and seeing how diversity in teams sparked huge amounts of creativity and huge amounts of innovation. And I genuinely really saw that work. I think the problem was that we've gone through a period over the last couple of years where I think after maybe 5 or 6 years of diversity being a really big subject, and actually to its credit, Arm was heavily invested in AI. They were really committed to the cause, and I loved that. I really enjoyed being part of that. But in the last couple of years, they definitely wound down that DEI and that diversity agenda, as we've seen lots of organizations do. And that became something that started to make me think, okay, if you want to have control of a culture, if you want to really make an impact here, then maybe you need to run your own business. And so obviously Arm was heavily invested in AI. My husband was also doing a big tech job, also heavily invested in AI. And we were kind of looking at it and thinking, well, this is clearly going to be the thing that changes the world. It's clearly having a huge impact on the companies that we're working in. It's clearly going to have a massive impact on everybody around us. But also there was this ethical and philosophical standpoint with AI that made us really uncomfortable. And it became a bit of a question of, we really love this stuff and we really love transformation and we're really good at transformation and strategy. But do we like where the industry is going? Do we actually want to be part of this? And I think the side we came down on is we have a responsibility to be part of it. We've got to be part of it because we were so concerned about the ethics around it. It felt so fragile. And it felt like the knowledge around AI was so fragmented. It felt like everybody knew a little bit, but nobody really knew anything. And we were kind of sat in the middle of that going, actually, it doesn't feel like we've got an option to opt out at the moment. It feels like we've got a responsibility to opt in and try and get involved. And so we started writing down everything that we'd done. And I literally spent 4 months writing, which was amazing because I love writing. And we wrote everything that we knew about transformational change, about what we'd seen work in AI, the people side of it, the data side of it, the portfolio management side of it, the kind of the real strategic portfolio side of it, and the ethical side of it. And we said, well, let's take everything we know, let's create a blueprint, but let's be those people that talk about ethics right from the beginning. And if organizations don't want to talk about ethics, then they're the wrong organizations for us and we're the wrong organization for them. And actually, we've never yet met an organization, we've never yet met anybody who hasn't been invested in the ethics. I think when we start talking about it, and we start talking about it from the perspective of it's not just a tick in a box exercise, it's genuinely something that can drive competitive advantage. It's something that can make you very successful. It can make your AI strategy much more sustainable. Everybody that we've spoken to is always on the right side of the conversation. And so it's kind of grown from there.
Great. Wow. It's been a very interesting journey. Some of the things that you described, especially the change aspect, must have a lot of challenges. Are there any particular key challenges that you would want to share? And also the approach you took to overcome these challenges, because people really learn from how people handle challenges.
Yeah, I think I can answer that in 2 ways. I think there was the challenges for us as a small business, but also the challenges that we've seen other people face in their organizations. And I think I'll start with what we see from other people. The genuine challenge, the biggest challenge that we see is that organizations are expecting AI to answer everything for them. So they're expecting it to be like this silver bullet that takes them from where they are now to where they want to be. And actually, so many of the things that would enable them to go from where they are now to where they want to be have nothing to do with AI. They're actually to do with the culture of the company. They're to do with their commitment to a strategy. They're to do with their investment plans. It's to do with the speed and their ability to be agile, to make good decisions, to manage their data. So sometimes some of the hard conversations that we have with people is about saying, okay, before you just plug in this nice fancy tool, there is a whole load of work that you guys need to do to prepare yourselves for this, because it's going to impact on your culture in a big way. It's going to impact on your people. They're going to ask difficult questions of you. And actually, we find that quite a lot of organizations are really keen to say to their employees, we're investing in AI or we're pivoting to AI. And we always say, put yourself in the position of your employee. Your employee is going to go, number one, okay, what does that really mean? What's changing? What's going to change for me personally? Because I'm not really interested in how much profit you are going to make as a company. What I'm interested in is, what does it mean for me? Is it going to change what I do today? But secondly, all I hear about AI is that it has an impact on people's jobs. And that if it's going to be so great, then surely it's going to have an impact on a job. So people are then naturally going to start looking inwards at their own work and saying, well, if this part of what I do could be automated and this part of what I do could be automated, that sounds fantastic, but there won't be a me left. And so if you're expecting your people to come to you with these great ideas, what you're asking people to do is to write themselves out of a job. And of course, people don't do that. And so you get stuck between this rock and a hard place where you think you're exciting people with this agenda about AI, and you think you're giving them all these great opportunities and we want your ideas, and your people are sat there with some brilliant ideas, but sharing them is too dangerous, because sharing them means that they've lost confidence. And so there's this real chicken and egg game that organizations have to play in. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we find organizations face. And the bit that we really like helping them do is saying, think about your workforce plans and be really open with your people about your workforce plans. Think about what a career pathway might look like augmented by AI. Be honest about the fact that you don't know what that looks like, because the tools are the worst they're ever going to be right now. Who knows how much more powerful they're going to be in a year's time and in 5 years' time. We've never been able to chart someone's career genuinely beyond that kind of timescale. No one's ever been given those kind of guarantees. But right now, if you want people to come with their brilliant ideas as to how to automate parts of their job, you've got to meet that with some kind of commitment that says, this is how AI will augment you, and this is what it would release you to do. These are the opportunities that it would release you to be able to start looking at. And you've got to meet people sort of in the middle here, and that's when you start to get great ideas and you start to move everybody forward. But we often find that what really happens is organization CEO gets very excited, we're pivoting to AI. People say, great, that sounds brilliant. What does it mean? And they don't get an answer that they want to hear here, or they get nothing. And that's when you get this kind of, it stops.
Very interesting.
I was going to answer their question differently. The challenges for us, I'd say the biggest challenge for me personally, as a new founder of a business, has definitely been, how do you make money and do good? Because we started this because we felt deeply committed to the ethics behind AI, and we wanted to help people. We wanted to provide free training to women because we're concerned about women leaving tech. We wanted to help the groups that don't have access to technology to use AI to support what they're doing. We really have had this feeling of wanting to do good and to help, but you very quickly realize that doing good doesn't pay the mortgage. And you've got to really balance the making money bit with the how you do good. And it's really hard to craft that. That's probably been the single biggest challenge for us, is that we didn't just want to run into this and say, well, how do we get as many consulting clients as possible? We had these kind of lofty ideas of wanting to do more. And in truth, the wanting, we're part of lots of groups. There's this brilliant kind of Women in AI group that UKAI are part of. We're both part of lots of those communities, and they probably take 90% of our time. We quite often get to the end of the week and we say, what have we done this week to earn money in 3 months' time? Because when our current clients finish, we're not generating, we're not doing any marketing for the next lot. We're just concentrating on all the great stuff. So having to balance that has definitely been something that we've had to work really hard on. I guess we've used AI genuinely as our superpower. As a team of 2, we often feel like a team of 10 because we can consume so much more using AI. We can get so much more done. Simple things like, I wrote our website myself, and when I couldn't do something, I vibe coded. I just use ChatGPT, or I use Claude, or I use Gemini to say, I'm trying to make, this do this. write me some code to do it. And in vibe coding, I was learning how to do something that I'd never been able to do before. I took my kind of development skills actually a step forward. So it didn't take anything away from me. It actually showed me how to write the code, and I started to get better at it. And we use it in that kind of way all the time. So we turn ChatGPT, the voice thing, on, and we'll quite often have a meeting, me, my husband, and ChatGPT. And we will sit, the three of us, and we will actually talk about ideas, and we'll make him write everything up. And it's like having a third person in the room that's both the assistant doing all the writing, but also a genuine third person, like spinning ideas with. So it's definitely been our kind of superpower.
Amazing. And I just wanted to remind you that you are doing good just by being part of, UKAI Women in AI, you giving your time. I always notice that you always volunteer to help with any of our initiatives. Just sharing your journey will help to inspire women. So you are doing good with everything that you do. What that brings me very, I would say, fittingly to what sort of legacy would you really wish to leave behind?
Oh, that's a really great question. There's a couple of things that we want to do. I think right now, when you think about the kind of legacy that's being left for the next generation, in my mind, I think about AI, and I think about how dangerous it is, and I think about the fact that very subtly and very casually in the background, the legacy that's being created right now is one of exclusion. It's one of systematic dismantling of equality. I see the women in tech agenda going backwards. I see the diversity agendas going backwards. So it feels like, to me, and I think to a lot of women in tech, it feels like things are not just stagnating. It feels like they're actually falling away at the moment. And so the thing for me right now, the small win that I can do is helping people to see that and helping people to do something about it. We recently wrote a framework called the 3 C's: care, context, and constraint, because we said, well, everyone's talking about responsible AI, and people are quite, especially in the AI community, people are quite au fait with the term responsible AI. When you think about kind of what responsible AI looks like, it's really aimed at developers of AI. Or next in line, it's maybe aimed at big integrators of AI. So it's aimed at big corporations. And I think there's often a feeling of it's somebody else's job. I mean, I've got a tool here that I'm using, whether I'm using it in business or whether I've got it on my phone and I'm using it at home. My assumption is that somebody else has made this tool safe for me. Even though I'm being told that it's not, I'm still just using it. And I think that's a problem. And I think what we've tried to do with the care, context, and constraint framework, the 3 C's, is we've tried to say, actually, all of us have a responsibility to use AI more responsibly. We've all got a job to do right now to say, okay, while the legislation is catching up with innovation, while we know that the data is really bad, the data only goes so far. You have to prompt the tool. You have to ask it for something. And then whatever it gives you, you have to do something with it. So it's a little bit like saying, what causes gun crime? Is it the guns or is it the people holding the guns? We're the people holding the AI tools at the moment. The AI tools themselves and all this horrible bad data that we know is in there, it can't do anything. It can't create an impact on society unless we let it. And so I really feel like at the moment, the legacy that I want to work on, the thing that I think we all need to do right now is just to take a little bit more accountability for saying, how should I be using this tool? What should I be putting into it? What should I be taking out of it? And I think just being smarter about the prompts, sort of using it with your eyes wide open, being conscious of all its limitations. And then when you get those outputs back, it's challenging them. We call it, building inclusion back in. We know that the inclusion isn't in the data. We know that the diversity isn't there. But actually, we as users, we can build that back in because we can prompt in a different way. We can, we put in this framework, just some really, really simple things that, especially with a tool like ChatGPT that's going to remember that prompt, you can say, every time every time I ask you something, I always want you to consider a diverse group of people. I always want you to write in a diverse way. I always want you to consider men and women as being equal. I always want you to consider all people as being important. And we can give these tools better prompts to help it give us better outputs. And then fundamentally, we can choose what to do with those outputs. If you are blindly letting it write the stories for you and just using those stories, then you are allowing it to impact on how it treats us all. So I think we all have a bit of a job to do, to just take a bit of care, to have a real feeling of context for how we're using these tools, and to use constraint with how we use them and how we onwardly use those outputs.
What advice would you give to other women who want to who are actually starting in their career, or perhaps, are still early in their career, if they wanted to pursue a similar path?
Oh, I think, what advice would I give people wanting to start their own business is do it, and don't wait to do it. Because the older you get, the more levels of responsibility you have, and the harder it is to do it. I wish I had done this 10 years ago, more than that. And maybe I wouldn't have the experience to be able to do it, but I wish I'd had a go at it a lot earlier. And I think if there's one thing you have to be really prepared for when you start your own business, it's ridiculous amounts of self-doubt on a daily basis, and getting really comfortable with the word no. I think when you acknowledge and you just get comfortable with the idea that every day at some point you're going to think, sod this, just get a job. This is too hard. That's fine. That's going to happen at some point in the day. Just let it go. Don't let it actually impact your day, and get really comfortable with the word no. Because the first time that somebody says no to you, it's hard. It's hard when people say that maybe they're not interested, or maybe somebody can do it better than you, but it's just absolutely part of it. And my definite piece of advice for anybody starting out would be to be careful about the LinkedIn scrolling. I've been at a couple of really great women in tech events recently. And the one story, the one thing I hear over and over again from women is how overwhelming LinkedIn is. I think you go on LinkedIn and you see all these amazing stories that everybody's posting, and everybody's seemingly doing a video every single day. And the algorithm is telling you, if you do a video every single day, then people are going to see you and read you, and that's going to work for you. And it is so overwhelming. It can be really overwhelming doing it. Not everybody gets to 50,000 followers overnight. It's hard. It's really hard doing it. And I think, limit your LinkedIn scrolling and talk to people, make real connections. I think 5 really good conversations in a week is a massive win, and it's so much more important than 500 likes on a post. So much more important.
Completely agree with you. And you should feel really proud of yourself that you keep going. The biggest mark of success is that you don't give up.
But you keep going.
That you keep going, and maybe the no's that you hear are redirection, the directing.
Completely. And I think it's why you have to be so focused on your purpose and your values. I think if you go into it just wanting to sell a product, it's quite easy to get distracted. I think if you're going to start a business, you have to start with a real sense of purpose and a set of values, and you've got to stick to them like glue, because they're actually far more important than any product you're trying to sell or any idea you've got. The products and the ideas and the connections and everything, they come from really understanding your purpose and sticking to it, because then you'll spot the people that are part of your purpose, and you'll spot the people that are upholding and acting with the same set of values as you, and they're the people to trust. I think when you focus on the products and the sales and you lose sight of that, that's when I think things get really tricky. So purpose and values all the way for me.
Very, very good advice. And finally, any future plans that you want to share?
The really big thing that we would love to do, and that we've talked with so many people about just recently, is we would love to see a campaign that really supports changing the culture inside big tech companies and AI companies to ensure that women are there, that we've got a seat at the table. We kind of loosely refer to it as AI 30, and it's that idea that when any type of marginal group reaches 30%, that their voice naturally gets heard more, that culture starts to change, that norms start to change. And so the idea behind AI 30 was this idea that until you've got 30% representation of women in your AI companies at all different levels, their voices aren't going to naturally be heard. And until their voices are heard, we're not going to get great products that are really representing women and representing diversity. And I think there's really something to be said for acknowledging that the culture inside AI companies and big tech companies has got to change if we want their products to change.
Mm-hmm.
If we see the culture inside those companies change, if we see diverse voices being embraced and being acknowledged, then I think naturally we're going to see tools that themselves embrace diversity and that themselves promote and include everybody. And so I think I would love to see a campaign. I know that the Labour government has just recently launched a Women in Tech task force, which is amazing. So this feels like maybe that's part of the movement. So it feels like there's a number of people starting to do this. And I always say there are some amazing women's communities, but women screaming at women about the fact that there's no women in tech is not going to change anything. I think at some point there's got to be Julia Moore, who did the Auto 30 Club, took exactly this thinking a couple of years ago, and she started the Auto 30 Club. And it is fundamentally about diversity and about women, but it's not a club full of women. It's a club full of men. It's a club full of the leaders of automotive companies who needed to commit to the need for diversity based on the commercial need. And I think that's really important. And I think it's something that I would love to see happen to the AI community and to the tech community, not just let's support women because it's the right thing to do, but let's get on board with the idea that diversity is critical. It's an economic advantage. It's a commercial advantage. It's just the sensible thing to do. And I think, yeah, I'd love to see a campaign around that happen. Love to be involved in that. So that's my next kind of secret side project.
Sounds exciting. So how can people get in touch with you if they wanted to, perhaps learn more about your company? What's the best way?
Sure, they can find me on LinkedIn. I'll put my link at the bottom of this call. They can find us at www.4fathom5, which is our company website. And they can email me at claireroberts@4fathom5.uk. I love connecting with people, by the way. So I always think never be nervous to reach out and connect with somebody. I've had some really great, lovely conversations through LinkedIn. So yeah, I'm more than happy to reach out and chat to people and have people connect with me and chat.
That's great. Claire, thank you so much. I must say I really, really enjoyed our conversation. I found it very enlightening. And I found that you are very, enthusiastic, but at the same time, very driven, very resilient. And you're doing something which is very difficult. So I wish you all the best. And thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you.